We've all heard colorful expressions when it comes to cheating. Oh, she provoked me, or he was there for me when you abandoned me. But this woman blames her cheating on something we haven't heard before: OCD.
I have intrusive thoughts as part of my OCD. When I get drunk, I really want to make out with everyone.
Yes, we're talking about Catie from 90 Day Fiancé. The woman's apparent lack of loyalty is blamed on OCD, for which she's medically diagnosed. But her repeated patterns and blatant lack of respect and tact seem more complicated than a mere OCD diagnosis.
I think I can love you, but also want to kiss everyone else.
If you watch the show, you already know what it's about. Simply put, it follows the life of international couples who wish to settle in the US and documents the process of the K-1 visa application. It follows the culture shock, the differences that are brought up, and language barriers and other relationship stuff. The show is quite popular and is currently airing its 12th season. Although most of the couples in reality TV shows are a bit troubled, to put it mildly, Catie takes the cake this season, or maybe the past 3 seasons, and that's saying something. The red flags with this one seem to pile up to make an entire forest that is on fire. From her repeated cheating to always pushing Josh's boundaries and harassing male friends, her complete lack of tact is infuriating to say the least.
Sorry, my dog has a reputation for kissing everyone in town. I was like, same.
As we know, Catie is 26, from Portland, and Josh is from Cambridge, UK. Catie is free-spirited, a bit blunt, very energetic, and an avid runner, and Josh is quite the opposite. He's a bit older, 30, and seems very reserved, a bit quiet and shy. The two seem like a perfectly sweet couple visually, you know. The whole opposites attract and everything. If you haven't watched the show, that is. Let's recap a little and start at the beginning of their love story. Her words, not ours. Because any story that starts with your true love kissing all your friends before kissing you in the same evening, hard pass. But hey, maybe modern princesses have to kiss a bunch of frogs before finding their Prince Charming. Who knows? Well, Catie is a traveling nomad and is a professional pet sitter with an agency. It's a pretty nifty setup, if you ask us.
I've spent the past 4 years traveling to over 25 different countries. My name is Catie Norbo, and I travel the world by looking after people's pets. Greece was the massive highlight of my travels.
Basically, she has to take care of other people's pets when they're away. And in exchange, she can live at their house. This has allowed her to travel around the world. According to her, she spent 3 years traveling alone, which is what she calls her hoe phase. The irony is that we don't think it was just a phase, since it has continued well into her long-term relationship with Josh. So due to the nature of her profession, Catie traveled to the UK, where she initially matched with Josh's friend Dave on Tinder. He asked Catie if she wanted to join him and his friends for drinks that night, and she said yes. Coincidentally, Josh was with him, and a whole bunch of other friends were there too.
And occasionally I'd swipe on Tinder, and the first person who responded was this guy named Dave, and he said, "I'm hanging out with some friends, want to join us?" And that was perfect for me. Me and Dave went on a little date. We were taking tequila shots. We were hitting it off. We were making out. I had met some of his friends that night, including Josh.
So our free-spirited girl hit it off with Dave, and they were having a fabulous time together, and they were making out. Yeah, sounds like a normal night out. Except that Catie wanted to sample all the other friends too. So she first kissed the friend she matched on Tinder, Dave, then she kissed another friend, then she wanted to kiss yet another friend, who by the way was in a relationship and thank heavens refused her, and then she asked Josh to kiss, but Josh refused because she just made out with 2 of his other friends, and that made her even more curious about Josh.
And then I asked Josh to make out, and he said, "No, you just made out with at least 2 of my friends." No. I have this video of me being really drunk in the bathroom. There's this other cute guy who has long hair. I forgot his name. But I want him.
Her words, not ours, because a single guy not wanting to kiss her was something beyond comprehension. Anyway, later that night, she was feeling creeped out by a dude at the bar and hence requested Josh to walk her home, which he did, being the gentleman that he is.
Bar closed. There was this guy being creepy outside, and I was like, "Oh, can you walk me home?" So Josh said, "Yeah, I'll walk you home."
On the way home, they finally kissed at a park bench. And that makes us think that maybe Josh didn't kiss her initially due to his being uncomfortable with PDA. He's admitted to that. Who knows? Because, well, he did change his mind once they were alone. But after their kiss, Josh went to pee behind a bush, and Catie ran home. Weird. But she called it the start of their love story.
And then I remember we just made out really passionately on a bench. And then he said he had to go pee, and I was like, okay. So then I just sprinted home. And I was kind of embarrassed because I had just like left him peeing in a bush. And that's how I met my fiance.
Later, Catie went back to Portland, but she and Josh kept in touch, essentially maintaining a long-distance relationship. They also took a trip to Milan together and spent time with each other as things took a more serious turn.
I was like kind of lonely because I was solo traveling, and I said, hey, if you're free this one random weekend, you can join me for a pet sit in Milan. And then he said, okay.
Finally, Josh proposed to her in Turkey. It was a complete surprise for Catie, but she ended up saying yes. Their proposal video was quite cute. The whole pretending to take a picture but instead making a video thingy that Josh did just goes to show he's a pretty thoughtful guy. Now, flash forward. Josh and Catie are all set to get married, and Josh is finally coming to the US to start their happily ever after. So a little disclaimer about the show. TLC is notorious for splitting chronological events and featuring them in different episodes. So a lot happened in the first 48 hours of Josh's arrival in the US, but the events are split into multiple episodes. Episode 1 starts with her carefree nomad decorating the hotel room for Josh's arrival. So before going to pick him up, she keeps saying how she wants to make out with him for 4 minutes straight, and then as soon as she sees him, she does exactly that. Why does she think pulling up red lingerie at a very public airport with cameras capturing everything is a good idea? We really don't know.
I have some red lingerie for tonight.
Okay.
Lingerie in the airport. Do you want me to put it away now?
We can clearly see Josh being uncomfortable here, because not only is he obviously jet-lagged after the long flight, he also has a bit of an aversion to PDA. Why does Catie think it's okay to repeatedly push his boundaries? And he just lets her, with an uncomfortable smile on his face. Some viewers say this is classic doormat behavior.
If this is love.
The aggressive kiss definitely looks like an assault, and Josh pulled back before 4 minutes, maybe 11 seconds later.
Do you want to make out for 4 minutes now?
I actually...
Can I put the hat on you?
And she was pretty bummed out by this. Also, when they finally get in the car to drive to the hotel, Catie is seen eating Cheetos, which must have smelled weird to Josh, but when he tells her that, she just snaps at him, and the level of rudeness is uncalled for.
Oh, those Cheetos do not smell lovely.
Okay, well, you smell bad.
He just politely told her that the smell of Cheetos was overwhelming in an enclosed space, and she just attacked him by saying he smells bad and his breath smells bad. Why did she get so defensive? It was so easy to just crack open a window, and the ventilation would take care of it. And anyone who's eaten Cheetos before knows what it smells like. Not everyone likes it, and that's okay. But she just snapped, to which Josh just agrees with her with a stunned, almost blank stare.
I do. I definitely smell
Your mouth
bad.
smells bad, actually.
My mouth smells bad.
Yeah, like your breath.
Well, I'm gonna clean my teeth.
So much for not insulting your fiancé on national television. But Catie just shrugged it off in the confessional that followed, saying, "He knew I had zero filter when he met me. That's just who I am." Right off the bat, we can see that the two of them are polar opposites. From Josh's uncomfortable reaction to PDA to his being frustratingly polite with her. Meanwhile, Catie just says whatever the heck she wants without any regard for his feelings. Like the girl talks about anal on a public subway.
Like you wouldn't talk about anal on the subway. That would make him really uncomfortable.
Another thing worth noting is how she always avoids any accountability, saying, "You know what you were getting into," or any version of the phrase. Even Josh said that she's one of the most blunt people he knows. But if you think this is problematic, hold your horses, because Catie's red flags just keep getting worse. Now, since she was already in the mood to get some and Josh was pretty tired, understandably from the long flight and everything, they didn't do anything, and well, she makes it a pretty big deal. Actually, what exactly happened was that the two of them were lying in bed and talking, and Catie started by expressing how she feels anxiety about their relationship. She felt a bit insecure that maybe he wouldn't want to do anything with her. And this makes a lot of sense. Josh seemed to think so too, since he acknowledged her feelings and admitted that he'd been having a rough time with moving countries and all. The visa process took a toll on him, and to his credit suggested that they make commitments to each other. Josh committed to being a more physically affectionate partner if Catie would stop trying to kiss other people.
Maybe one commitment you can make is to not keep kissing other people.
So what we see here again is Josh promising to make more efforts so that she feels wanted while asking for bare minimum effort from her. And yes, being a loyal partner in a monogamous relationship is the bare minimum. But still he tried to almost request or plead with her in exchange for something she was demanding. It was a truly heartbreaking thing to spell it out to your partner. And he tried to do it very gently so she wouldn't be hurt or embarrassed. But honestly, if you look at Catie's expression, it looks like Josh has dropped a bomb or something. She looks so resentful, and it doesn't make any sense. And for Josh, we feel like he keeps trying to win her affection, even though almost everyone keeps screaming at him to run away. Not to play an online psychiatrist, but it seems like there are some childhood traumas at play. Now, we can't make a perfect diagnosis based on TV, but sometimes when a parent's love is conditional, the child subconsciously tries harder to win love. Every rejection, every struggle just wires their brain to try harder. And sometimes these patterns are carried forward in adult relationships. This is just a personal thought and not based on any diagnosis. But the red flags are there, and Josh just silently enduring everything makes no sense. Also, for him to uproot his somewhat stable existence in another country for her traveling nomadic lifestyle, it would have made so much more sense for Catie to move to the UK, although then they both wouldn't have been featured on the show. Anyway, let's talk about the Catie Welcome to America party that she threw for Josh and the guest list from hell. So Catie decided that it'd be nice to introduce Josh to her social circle now that they're engaged and all. And to anyone who doesn't know her, that might seem like a good idea because, Josh uprooted his entire existence in another country to be with her. His job, friends, social circle, pretty much everything. So it would have been a nice gesture to introduce him to her friends. But the problem here is that 90% of the people on that guest list, well, she either made out with or slept with. Despite this, Josh can be seen chatting and mingling with some of the guys at the party, while Catie is, as usual, getting as drunk as she possibly can. And when Josh came to her after a little bit of mingling, she casually said that she saw him and Mark talking and labeled it as the ex-lovers chat.
We saw you and Mark and Josh talking. I just like to label it the ex-lovers chat.
Okay.
I guess you're not my ex-lover. What were you guys talking about?
How sweet of her to remember that Josh is not her ex-lover. Also, do you notice how she asked him in a question, "What were you guys talking about?" And then before he could answer fully, she proceeded to do her usual word vomit.
It doesn't bug you that we banged before? I banged both Josh and Mark one time. Not one time, like 3 times.
Come on, even a child will tell you that's an awful way to break into your partner. I mean, he just moved countries for you. And instead of making him feel a bit grounded, she's almost deliberately trying to make him insecure, introducing her to people she has banged before, and then casually dropping it on him that her entire social circle consists of people she has had flings with. And throughout, she offers him zero support or validation. Even Josh admitted in front of the camera that he felt like an idiot, implying that he felt like people were laughing behind his back.
That might be really awkward. I don't know. I don't know if they'll look at me just like I'm an idiot or...
Even the guys she slept with made thinly veiled remarks about how they could never handle things the way Josh has.
I think you roll through those punches way better than I ever could.
Imagine hearing this about your fiancé. What this guy's essentially trying to say is, boy, I could never. Another ex said, oh yeah, Catie is totally loose and wild when she gets some drinks in her. Good luck keeping tabs on her, man. But we gotta hand it to Josh. Somehow he maintains his calm composure, despite her constant provocation. He simply asks if she wants him and contends with her, yes. But that's still not enough for her, as she comes to Josh mid-party and says, you are being so awkward. You need to loosen up and just get over it. Get over what exactly? His first 24 hours after landing in America haven't been very pleasant at all. From the borderline harassment at the airport to her performative display of red lingerie and her constant snapping, Josh was rightfully a bit disturbed. It makes us think that there's something seriously wrong with Catie, and it's not as simple as an OCD diagnosis, more like a total absence of empathy, since she felt it was a good idea to say this.
I feel like sometimes oh, maybe I'll think about the chemistry I used to have, or a brief thought will cross my mind.
Sorry?
But it's more of oh, I know that didn't work out.
So she's casually admitting that she would think about other men and then try to appease herself that, oh, you know what, it wouldn't have worked out. And that's not an okay thing to say to your partner, who, by the way, must already feel insecure due to your tendency to cheat left, right, and center. Also, Another thing we want to point out, Catie has repeatedly said that her OCD makes her cheat. These compulsions, they force her to kiss other people. And this gets worse when she drinks. It also gets worse when she's happy, she's in a giddy mood, or she's feeling insecure. So even if she cannot control one part of the equation, that is her OCD, she keeps conveniently forgetting the other part of the equation, and that is her drinking problem. So if she just refrains from getting hammered, these cheating instances would be reduced, right?
Once she's been drinking a certain amount, that definitely gets cranked up.
But do we see her trying to do that? No. In fact, we've seen her drink AMF on multiple occasions, including Josh's welcome party. For those of you who don't know, AMF stands for Adios Mother Effer, which is one of the strongest drinks there is and has the unique ability to mess you up in the shortest time possible. Sometimes it seems that Catie deliberately tries to create drama. If you've watched the movie How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, some of Catie's antics seem quite similar, albeit more blatantly disrespectful and promiscuous. Because if you look at it through a realistic lens, she's doing everything she can to make Josh's life a living hell. She drinks, she parties too much, she cheats on him, and tries to kiss other guys right in front of him. Also cannot take care of a simple job like looking for an apartment before Josh's arrival. Then she lacks the basic decency not to invite her previous flings to the very social gathering her fiancé attends. Oh, and also she complains about the lack of physical affection in this relationship, again and again and again.
It takes a lot of energy to deal with the absurdity of your loving partner being such a ferocious party girl.
What she fails to understand, or maybe just chooses to ignore, is that the lack of physical affection is due to the repeated disrespect. Josh's lack of affection is not the reason she feels compelled to cheat, it's the other way around.
And I think that one day this could be someone that I want to have children with. And so I don't know what that means if we can't get on the same page in the next 90 days, whether we're actually as compatible as I thought we are.
And then comes the apartment fiasco that we saw in later episodes. Although an apartment is a bit of an optimistic term for an unfurnished, beaten, dusty space with just a mattress. And yes, this is the same apartment that she leased last minute, after promising Josh that she would take care of the living arrangements prior to his arrival. But first, let's talk about the ride to the apartment, where Catie needed to fart forever.
I need to fart forever.
Oh, Jesus. I'm going back to the UK.
It was really smelly. Did you smell it?
Ugh, sweet relief. Not. She then proceeded to tell Josh that she had to text a friend to make sure she didn't kiss everyone at Josh's welcome party. We think it's better for you all to just hear it from her.
Danica said, apparently I asked everyone to kiss them on the lips before leaving, and they all said no.
Well, at least they all said no. But this wasn't just another casual revelation. This just goes to show that Catie's colorful past is not past, but actually who she is. Thankfully, Josh finally said something.
Rung a bell.
That's disrespectful to me.
Although disrespectful is a very mild word to describe Catie's behavior, we can just see the empty resignation in Josh's body language here. The guy's clearly debating his life choices between smelling her farts and being cheated on again and again. And the barren, empty apartment somehow just foreshadows the unstable foundation of their relationship. When Josh sees the love nest that Catie has selected for them, he's right to be a little shocked, since it's basically just an empty space with a battered twin mattress. And we really need to look at that mattress. The questionable stains are enough to induce vomiting. And given Catie's alcoholism, maybe they're actually vomit stains. Ugh, so much for a warm welcome.
I think that Catie and I have differences in terms of like what's acceptable. But this mattress was a biohazard. You know, smells and hair and...
It's not like I sleep in like dirt, but it's like... I'm trying to defend myself. I'm not doing a great job.
Also, it's a single mattress, and once again, Catie failed to consider whether her fiancé would sleep comfortably. Josh even humorously tried to address it by saying, "Where I come from, this is called a single because it's for a single person."
Sorry, my mattress is nasty looking, but it just has permanent stains because
What size
shady.
is this?
So this size, like the mattress?
Yeah.
This size mattress is a twin mattress. Okay, don't pay attention to the stains. Sorry,
Yeah.
they're bad.
So we'd call that in the UK a single
Oh,
for one person.
you don't have twin size beds?
So we have single and double. So I thought a twin was like
you could fit two. It kind of sounds like two people.
And Catie is as unbothered as always. Poor Josh just vents out to the camera. But honestly, as an audience, at one time you start to wonder, why won't he speak up? And let's not forget the beeping garage. Imagine being jet-lagged and tired, and the garage at your apartment complex keeps beeping. It can drive anyone mad. Anyway, apart from the battered, stained mattress, there were no tables, chairs, or even a bed frame. The lack of furniture was not an issue inherently if she had deliberately avoided furnishing, like maybe if she had thought that, since we're getting married, let's go furniture hunting together and decorate our space. But no, it turns out that Catie thinks of these necessities as stupid luxuries. Right, all adult money should go towards buying booze and partying. It also highlights how Josh is more focused on the long term, while Catie maybe has some trouble accepting the relationship.
But it's livable, so Catie is happy. She helps him bring in her nasty, old, stained mattress into the house. All right, okay.
It seems like the only plausible explanation. But Catie tries to make it up to him by showing him a box, which has a personal toy for Catie to wear and impale Josh.
It's an old toy that she has. It's a personal toy meant for her to wear and impale him with.
Yeah, you cannot make this stuff up.
You mentioned that throughout our travels, and now I'm faced with it.
Does it look fun?
I really don't know whether that's my thing.
Because messing with someone's mental health is not enough, you gotta go for their backside too. Josh anxiously asked her if she washed the toy, and she tried to put him at ease by saying that she boiled it.
Ew.
And it's furry. It's got fur everywhere.
Okay, I boiled this thing.
As if that makes it any better. Honestly, at this point, it seems fair to say that Catie and Josh's arc is the most chaotic out of all the participants, and that's saying something. After they somehow fit onto the single mattress, the scene cuts to Josh admitting that he is still miserable, and by now every one of you must be screaming, "Go home!" But it turns out that Josh is a slow learner. So if you thought this was the worst of it, oh boy, are you wrong. After recovering from the initial shock, Josh suggests they buy some basic furniture, saying, "I just think it's reasonable for us to look at a cheap table set and a proper bed frame so we aren't sleeping on the floor." That's quite a reasonable demand. The guy likely left a furnished apartment with amenities to sleep on the floor? Like college kids for the foreseeable future? Just because his fiancé is more focused on bar hopping than adult life. Catie immediately gets defensive, saying, "You're the one who rushed this entire immigration process. You are being so selfish wanting these luxuries. Honestly, I wasn't even ready for you to come to America yet," because somehow Catie just makes an issue out of everything. For example, he makes eggs so she doesn't have to eat pizza for breakfast, and she's like, "Why are you making so many eggs? I feel like that's really expensive." Suddenly, Josh finds himself defending organic eggs, since Catie feels like all eggs are the same, organic, cage-free, it's all a lie.
I think all eggs in America are the same. It's just like a scam. It just says organic and that they're cage-free, but they're actually not.
Sure.
Just eat the eggs. Someone should really tell her that a lot of the girls would die to have such a thoughtful partner. Waking up to a healthy breakfast is a luxury few women have. So Josh's back hurts, understandably, from sleeping on the tiny mattress, and they're going furniture shopping. But throughout the car ride, Catie keeps telling him how she doesn't want to, or how it's a waste of money. Also, some friend of hers offered free furniture, so they should keep living frugally until someone gives them free stuff.
I don't want to end today without something to sit on.
Like, for real?
Yeah, for real, because my back is really painful.
I just don't think we can make that happen today.
Okay, it needs to happen because my back is very painful.
Yeah, but my friend offered us a bunch of free furniture. We should get that first.
Okay, but we also need to just get on with life, so it's not here right now.
We've literally had like 2 seconds.
Okay, I just feel like you're just being a bit over the top about trying to save so much money before we even started.
I guess I just don't trust you yet with money and financial stuff, because...
I mean, it must be frustrating not being able to buy a freaking bed to sleep peacefully just because your fiancé thinks it's a stupid luxury to be able to sleep that way. And when he says he wants a chair because his back hurts, she simply tells him he should stretch more.
Maybe you should stretch more or exercise.
Okay, I'm not going to talk if you're going to be stupid.
Josh is right to point out that her friend didn't specify when they would get the free furniture, and that could take days. It was unfair of her to expect him to sleep miserably till then. Catie then proceeds to make things worse by saying that she doesn't trust him with money yet, because he has made some poor decisions in the past, like spending $400 on sunglasses.
I guess I just don't trust you yet with money and financial stuff, because
Do you think
Or
that...
decisions I've seen you make in the past.
No, not poor decisions, just things that you disagree with.
Catie lecturing someone on responsible decisions. Truly ironic. Also, why is she acting as if Josh is spending her money? If $400 sunglasses make sense to him, who is she to judge? And Josh is right to ask, don't judge me. I trust you, even though you make out with all these men while you are drunk, so you should trust me with the finances.
It's a small expense. I don't want to fight over it, especially when her argument is, oh, it's stupid.
Maybe some of the things that Catie's saying make sense. They could actually wait for a week or so before buying because furniture is expensive, and since Josh can't work and Catie doesn't have a job. But that still does not excuse her behavior. Acting all high and mighty when it comes to responsible spending, but spending frivolously on alcohol and partying. The takeaway from this interaction again is that Catie and Josh are completely different people and cannot seem to agree on anything, be it social interactions, an apartment, furniture, or intimacy. How the two managed to get along enough to get engaged is indeed a puzzle, because Josh has arrived in America for a few days, and we can already see that they cannot seem to agree on anything. There is resentment on both sides. Yes, Josh is trying to compromise, but doesn't seem very successful in bridging the gap between the two of them. The furniture hunting isn't very successful either. They go inside a furniture shop, and Josh likes a dining table and chair set that costs $300. It's not ridiculously expensive, but Catie wants to hold off until they can see what they can get for free.
I don't know. It's all right. I like it.
Yeah.
I want to see what we can get for free before I purchasing something for $300.
Okay, sure.
By the end of the furniture hunt, Josh is visibly frustrated.
I am getting a bit tired of just going around in circles. I feel like we've both said our piece, so can we just go home if you're just gonna be like that?
I feel like it was a good idea on Josh's part to just go back to their apartment since it was quite apparent that they cannot agree on anything. But, well, they did get into another argument in the car, and oh boy, sober Catie isn't any less unpleasant than drunk Catie. The context is that Josh tries to remind her how he was on top of the immigration process, and Catie just slams it in his face that it was his idea, not hers, basically implying that he's here because he wants to be, not necessarily because she wants him to be. It probably served as a reality check to Josh, who finally grew his spine and asked her how he's supposed to feel about that. She's implicitly telling him that she didn't want him here. And then she goes around kissing other guys.
Kissing people when you want, I think you need to have a long, hard think about whether marriage is the right thing for you. You're not being a reliable partner.
Finally, Josh is starting to see sense, because you see, Catie was responsible for finding them a decent place to live, a job she volunteered to do, and she didn't, then signed a lease on an apartment without even visiting it, and the apartment has this annoying garage that keeps beeping, and then refuses to make life even a teensy tiny bit easier for Josh. Yes, she did make some coherent points, but ultimately, her lack of tact just makes it so hard to sympathize with her. Like, what do you mean you were not ready for your fiancé to come over after repeated discussions? I don't think Josh is the type to pack his bags and impulsively move to the US without Catie's explicit approval, and now she's acting like this is all on him. And if you think this is the worst, you're wrong. Because like we said before, Catie's red flags keep getting worse to the point that it's becoming more difficult to sympathize with Josh for putting up with her. At a certain point, you just keep asking yourself, bro, why is he even bothering with her when he can clearly see that the two are far from compatible? As the initial unpleasant surprises of the first 48 hours simmer down, Josh attempts to organize their daily life in Portland. So, like all normal men, he took a pen and notebook and attempted to make a list of all the things he deemed necessary to make their apartment feel like a home. He attempts to, we think, map out a budget, and that's precisely when he finds out that Catie's job as a professional pet sitter doesn't offer them much security, more like any security.
I think I've made out with 90% of the single men at the run club.
Have any of these makeouts happened after you already in a relationship with Josh?
Yeah, some of the makeouts have happened after I met and was already in a relationship with Josh. I know I've done things that haven't been fair to you, like in the past while like drunk and crossed some boundaries. So I just like wanted to like start off Portland. Just, I don't know. I just want to be really transparent with you.
Like, I'm not really a jealous person. It's a respect thing, and like when it's people whilst we've been together, that's not cool.
It's really hard for me to resist kissing other people. Like the compulsion part of OCD is like you do a thing to like neutralize the obsession, But then when you do the compulsion, it actually makes it all worse, and then it turns into a time-consuming, stressful, useless cycle.
And since Josh cannot work legally just yet, this means that they gotta live on the savings. Also the fact that Catie prioritizes her booze intake over basically everything. And the thing that we noticed was that even though Josh was trying to plan a future for them, Catie was just sitting there with a can of hard seltzer looking very irritated. It's clear that she would rather be anywhere but here. Preferably in a bar getting drunk, or maybe kissing a random guy, or 2, or maybe 3. And that's just a casual night out for her. But the highlight of this conversation is a revelation by Catie. She admits to Josh that while they were dating long distance, not just dating, but actively engaged too, full serious about their supposedly monogamous relationship and all, she went on a 2-week vacation with another man. When Josh points out how she would feel if he went out with other women and partied for 2 weeks, thankfully Catie has the decency to admit that her position sounds hypocritical.
What is going through your head when, you've got a partner who loves you and who you love, and then you have a few drinks and you want to make out with someone else?
I think just I can love you, but also want to kiss everyone else.
But even when they don't want to, like Mark didn't want to.
I want to go with you.
No. Katie, you have a fiancé.
I don't want to cross his boundaries.
But you're crossing my boundaries.
Do you think everyone's uncomfortable, and when they come, will they hang out with me ever again?
I'd like it if we could talk about us.
Yes, girl, it does. Finally, Catie's birthday party is where everything comes crashing down. So it was Catie's birthday party, and she invited a ton of her friends from her social circle, which, by the way, mostly consists of people she parties with and then tries to make out with. Ryan's one of the friends she invited. He and Catie did the Berlin Marathon together and seemed to be quite close. It should come as no surprise that Josh isn't exactly a fan of Ryan, because, well, he's the guy she ran off to Berlin with. Actually, not just Berlin, it was a tour around Europe that included Britain too, after she and Josh were engaged, and she never told him.
I think we kind of both made this mess together.
The last time we spoke, you asked me to not be a part of your life anymore.
Yeah. I'm not interested in people who aren't bringing anything to me, I don't really understand. Like, when we were all hanging out, I thought it was all quite friendly, and then everything kind of went downhill, and I felt like a bit of collateral.
Catie and I did some things that were inappropriate, but Katie's hard to say no to.
You see, this isn't just a matter of OCD or getting drunk, because even if you're prone to making bad decisions when you're drunk, there are still some moments where you're sober and regret your actions, or at least try to rectify them when you get out of your drunken stupor. But no, with Catie, it's just one ongoing cheating crisis that she blames on her OCD diagnosis. And it's not just physical cheating too. Taking a guy for a 2-week vacation to Berlin without asking or even telling your fiancé, that's some next level shit. And it's clear from their body language that there's a little bit more to this vacation than mere inappropriate behavior. Catie just betrays Josh's trust in as many ways as she possibly can. We've said this before, but truly, she's given Josh every possible reason not to go through with this marriage. Her bluntness, emotional and physical cheating, her inability to read the room, and not taking their shared future seriously. The red flags are all there. Why Josh keeps making excuses for her behavior is definitely a mystery. Catie again is seen sporting a glass of alcohol, which, as we all know by now, is never good news. So although Katie's told Josh that she and Ryan have never slept together, given how mushy they are, Josh is understandably still a bit apprehensive despite Catie claiming that they're just chill friends now.
Do you think I can make out with everyone I know?
I think
that's a bad idea.
But she was actually making out with Ryan, and the trio even stepped outside so Ryan could apologize to Josh.
Crazy mom.
Why are you being crazy? Just chill.
I thought we were past this.
Because no, we're not kissing, Katie.
Clearly we're not.
You're in a committed relationship, Katie.
I am done with this bull.
And something that we noticed here is that Josh is a bit passive-aggressive towards Ryan. Yes, he was way out of line, and we can understand why he'd be pissed at him. But how can he conveniently dismiss Katie's role in this? She is the one who asked Ryan to accompany her on a trip to Europe. And even if it takes two to tango, the least she could have done is not invite him to her birthday party. She knew full well that Josh would be uncomfortable around him. In his own words, he wouldn't want to be 20 feet within the guy.
She's a bit of a loose cannon, right? Like,
What does that mean?
well, she was just so, like, loose before, just like very much just like everything was a party, yes.
They're literally trying to warn him. They're picking up on the fact that Josh is really serious about Catie, and pretty much everyone knows this is gonna be a disaster.
It was not Ryan's responsibility to be loyal to Josh. And let's be honest, it's not like Katie's blackout drunk and men are trying to take advantage of her vulnerable state. No, she throws herself on them, demanding they kiss her, and persistently tries to change their mind when they say no. We all saw this at the party, so why is Josh not directing his anger at both of them? Presumably because he's still making excuses for Katie's behavior. Well, after going back to the party, what do we see? Surprise, surprise. Catie is again trying to make out with everybody. Everybody except Josh. And we're not talking about an innocent peck either, full with the tongue and everything. There goes the tongue. Also, why is she lying in the lap of some guy? Even if he's just a friend, and this is highly doubtful given Katie's colorful history and inability to maintain a platonic relationship, why on earth does she think it's okay to lie in the lap of a bunch of dudes? Although we've established it quite early in the season that Catie is, well, a bit disturbed. The people at the party had some sense and refused her repeated request to make out. It truly makes you wonder, if drinking makes Catie want to make out with everyone, why not just stay close to her fiancé?
Katie.
I wanna go with you.
No, you have a fiance. She's tonguing my palm.
We mean make out with him instead of harassing guests at your party, and that truly can be categorized as sexual harassment because we do see those men refusing her, first verbally, then physically. So maybe she has problems with consent also. Because in what universe does no mean try harder? And think about how problematic that would be if the roles were reversed. If Josh was the one repeatedly getting drunk and trying to kiss women at a party while his fiancé was right there, the entire world and its sister would have protested. Maybe even the show is boycotted. And we're not saying that there's no audience reaction, just humorously pointing out how it would have been a full sexual harassment lawsuit if it had been Josh. So after witnessing all this and undoubtedly feeling like the biggest idiot in the room, Josh storms out, and Mark, one of Katie's friends, yes, someone she previously slept with, suggested that Josh take Catie home. We believe his exact words were, "If this was my girl, I'd be taking her home. Personally, I would leave her." Okay, Josh, what more do you want to hear? How much more public embarrassment do you need to tolerate to realize this is not normal? Your fiancé's ex is giving you more validation and support than your fiancé. Just look at Catie ignoring Josh and trying to put her tongue in everyone else's mouth. Ugh.
I know that you're trying to be accepting, but like, it's okay to be mad.
Yes, it's okay to be mad. In fact, any self-respecting partner would be really pissed off and rethinking the whole marriage thing. Also, on a side note, Josh should really get tested. The number of people Catie has kissed after they're engaged, she could have picked up any number of diseases. Anyway, they both go back inside, and now it's Mark's turn to have Catie shoving her tongue in his mouth. Mark tries to shrug her off, using his hand to block out her wriggling tongue, and Catie starts to make out with his hand. And by the time Ryan is half pleading with Josh to take Catie home, and finally Josh lovingly still calls her babe, gesturing to leave. Josh definitely deserves the Nobel Peace Prize for trying to maintain his calm during this disastrous party, but he does admit to the cameras that he is done with this BS. Man, Josh, you took your sweet time growing a pair.
Catie does need tough love. He's just kind of letting Catie roll over him. At some point, he does need to stick up for himself.
And this is coming from Mark, someone she slept with. He even agrees that he needs to put Catie in her place, or better yet, just leave, pack his bags, and run away. Josh's conversation with Mark also tells us that he's trying to make sense of the relationship, to try to understand, to feel better about uprooting his entire existence to be with her. When he says, "Then what am I doing here?" the sunk cost fallacies at play. But you gotta understand, you cannot board a plane that you know will crash just because you bought a ticket. Yes, it sucks to be getting out of a relationship when you're getting married in less than 90 days, but it'll definitely cost a hell of a lot more to divorce divorce after he inevitably realizes his mistake. And we're not just talking financially. We can already see that Josh has a bit of a low opinion of himself. The way he lets Catie walk all over him while he still keeps calling her love or babe. He's gonna get so much more hurt in the long run because we repeatedly see Catie begging other people to kiss her and they're refusing, at least in front of the camera. What would happen if they agree and ask her to just go to a quiet corner and do the deed? Somehow we find it very hard to imagine Catie declining the offer. So basically it just goes to show that she has no self-control. She chugs alcohol like it's her job, asks to make out with people, and tries harder when they say no. So who is to say that this making out wouldn't progress to in the future, especially given Catie's promiscuous nature? She's admitted to Josh that she likes it that those men want to bang her. Anyway, when Josh and Catie return to the empty apartment, things do blow up, and for once we're glad. Maybe Josh's ability to think was hindered by his jet lag, and maybe he's only realizing the full extent of Catie's antics now. In any case, maybe he's realizing that they're not as compatible as he thought. So Catie immediately pulls out the emotional card and starts ugly crying on the mattress while Josh pounces around the room angrily. Again, she tries to blame Josh for antics, saying, "Why won't you touch me? We're supposed to be getting married. I need to feel sexually wanted, and you just sit there like a statue." Man, this woman's deranged, trying to shove her tongue into every guy's mouth, licking her hands. Anybody would lose their libido over this. Josh retaliated this time, saying, "I will be physically affectionate and intimate with you only if you stop trying to bleed and kiss other people. Do you have any idea how humiliating it is to watch my future wife beg another man for a kiss in public?"
Then the night wore on and you were by the bar and I think you were literally trying to make out with anything that moves. See, actually. What is going through your head when, you've got a partner who loves you and who you love, and then you have a few drinks and you want to make out with someone else?
I think I can love you, but also want to kiss everyone else.
But even when they don't want to, like Mark didn't want to.
I want to go with you.
No. Catie, you have a fiancé.
I don't want to cross his boundaries.
But you're crossing my boundaries.
Do you think everyone's uncomfortable, and will they hang out with me ever again?
I'd like it if we could talk about us.
I've definitely lost friends because of things I've done when I'm drinking. And I'm really ashamed about it, and it's hard to talk about. I will be sad if anyone abandons me.
And that earned him the title of being unsupportive of her OCD. She says that instead of trying to help her, Josh is judging her. Okay, let's clear some things first. OCD is a compulsive disorder. It creates a vicious loop where you think things will go wrong if you don't act on your impulses. For example, if your desk is cluttered, it'll make you anxious, so anxious that you'll obsessively clean. Then, since you cleaned, this signals your brain that the impulse must be right. Yes, it's a nuisance, but what we have here isn't an OCD problem, it's an alcohol problem, coupled with loose morals. Also, Catie has a knack for saying some of the worst things at the worst times, and her facial expressions don't always make sense. Maybe she's on the autism spectrum. It does make sense though. Her inability to read the room, not judging facial cues, weird facial expressions, autism would explain a lot. Either that or she's highly manipulative, using an OCD diagnosis to justify her cheating behavior that is next level evil. Now hold your horses because things are going to get even worse. After the birthday party fiasco, Josh is visibly upset. To add to his misery, Catie spends the week hungover with a very visible change in her demeanor. She doesn't apologize to Josh or promise to do better or anything like that. That'd be too normal. Instead, just days before their wedding, she sits Josh down for a formal conversation to drop a bomb on him. Verbally, she demands an open marriage, the kind where you sleep with other people while being married to each other. And the manipulative way she frames this request cannot be ignored. She tells Josh that stopping her from making out and hooking up with other people makes her feel trapped. I don't think she's ever considered Josh's feelings when she does that. How he feels: betrayed, disrespected, crushed. Her tone is completely unbothered, flat. And she's saying this to a guy who completely changed his life for her. His country, job, home, his friends, social circle, everything. The risk he took was for nothing. And this seems like the very first time that Josh realizes this, because his stoic expression just crushes. So she basically lured him across the Atlantic to act as a shield so she could sleep with other men and pursue this insanity. This definitely marks a point of no return for most men, maybe even someone as spineless as Josh. I'm sorry to be saying this, but I don't know a better way to put it. He basically let her do whatever she wanted and is only now realizing that his unwavering understanding was her manipulating him with her OCD diagnosis. And we also think that Catie got engaged to Josh because she knew nobody would put up with her like Josh does. I mean, look at what the string of her past lovers has to say about her. All of them made thinly veiled statements about how they would never date, let alone marry someone like Catie. And they've known her far before Josh ever came into the picture, so they must know her better, right? Also, in all of the episodes we've seen so far, never once has Catie taken any interest in the wedding stuff, be it cake tastings or her wedding dress. It doesn't even seem like she's getting married. We can safely say it on behalf of every woman out there. The wedding dress is a big deal. Most women start dreaming about their wedding dress way before they even have a serious guy in their life. So her banal attitude towards the wedding itself is weird. Also, we just see her sabotaging her relationship every chance she gets. She even joked about it to Josh when he asked her if she is trying to make him leave her, and she said yes. Sometimes couples open their marriage when they're really far into it, not days before a marriage. And even then, the chance of abuse and emotional harm is at a record high. And despite ourselves, we feel very sorry for Josh, since the guy is doing everything to make the relationship work. Maybe so he can feel less bad about starting his entire life from scratch across the Atlantic.
Catie needs to understand that we're not going to have this conversation again. I love Catie, and that's why it's so difficult to understand what's going on. Like, it seems like I either need to tolerate this in order to love her, or I walk away. It really is up to her to recognize what she wants and if she can be in this relationship. Because right now, it doesn't look like she can.
Now this brings us to the latest episode, and oh, what a ride. Believe it or not, this episode ironically started with Catie going for a run with none other than Ryan. Not only that, but she also recapped her previous conversation with Josh. She told Ryan that Josh was upset with her, and honestly, at this point, it seems like her exes have been putting more effort into saving her relationship than she ever has. Ryan also addressed the elephant in the room, telling her that he didn't think her biggest problem was OCD, but her drinking.
I think me and Josh are amicable, and I don't feel like my continued friendship with Catie will cause conflict in the relationship anymore, so I'm happy for that. But my biggest concern for Catie is that she just continues to self-destruct her happiness.
And was trying to tell me all his feelings with my drinking and my behavior. He said, I'm disappointed in you multiple times. And it just made me feel really defeated and sad. I'm worried I'll never change and I'll ruin my life.
You keep saying this whenever bad stuff happens. Do you actually think Josh is gonna dump you?
I think I'm pushing the limits.
Why do you think he keeps forgiving you?
I think G thinks we're a good match long term and that I'd be a good partner. But I think he's also overlooking my repeated behavior. But I think eventually he might not.
I do have a fear that Josh will leave me or get sick of my shenanigans. And I think with OCD, it's I think about it a lot more, and I just replays in my brain. So the fear is torturing me instead of me actually taking good steps to fix it.
So if he stops forgiving you, how would that feel?
That would break my heart, and I would not. I don't know. I think I'd be in a really bad place, and I don't want to mess this up because I love him. Despite us fighting and stuff, I do love him.
I know, you're feeling like you're on a clock, but should you be getting married with these feelings?
I mean, I don't think it's so hard because, like, I don't think we should be getting married realistically, but I think if we want to, like, start our life together, we have to get married.
It's a constant battle with my head whether, oh, I should settle down and be with the person I love, or I should just have fun and live my life to the fullest. But then I also really want to be with Josh. 1 second, I'll only want Josh, and I'll be like, why would I ever throw this away? And then the next second I'll be like,
I could see ourselves in a marriage where we're both not happy and not getting our needs met.
and I have less than 90 days to figure it out.
And while Catie did seem to agree with him for a moment, she snapped right back to her old mindset almost immediately. The weirdest part is that in the previous episode, during their conversation, she kept saying that she would be devastated if someone abandoned her.
I will be sad if anyone abandons me. I worry all the time that I'll lose Josh.
We probably would have felt sorry for her, except that this entire situation is a mess of her own making. And that's pretty much where this season of 90 Day Fiancé came to an end. Now, the real burning question people have been asking online is whether Catie and Josh are still together. And to everyone's horror and disappointment, it looks like they're still going strong. Josh even went online to defend Catie. He said that while he appreciated everyone who was supporting him, he didn't like that people were telling him to run for the hills.
Hey folks, I'm going to be real with you. I understand that a lot of you are looking at my relationship with Catie and are just like, what the fuck? I get it. I appreciate that some of you really care enough to want to reach out. I appreciate that some of you are quite upset. If I get another comment that says, run, I have to look at that notification, run, and then a couple exclamation marks, I think I'm going to lose my mind. I'm not saying I don't want to hear from you, but please be creative. Run, walk, I promise you, hand over heart, I promise you I get the message. A lot of you are saying run, go back home, but just add some creativity in there, please.
And over on Catie's Instagram, there are videos of the two of them moving a mattress together. Well, it seems like a dusty house with no furniture, and kissing every single person except him at the party wasn't much of a deal breaker after all. With that being said, we'd finally like to wrap up this video, and holy moly, what a ride. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. We'd love to hear your thoughts on everything that happened, so let us know in the comments below. Do you think Catie and Josh's relationship is actually going to last? Or is it only a matter of time before things fall apart again?